Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gnomon live stream. I'm your host, Adam Hartel, and this is our second installment of the Artist's Journey live stream series. This is a series that is all about talking to some fantastic artists who have gone very far in their journeys, and really addressing a lot of the questions that we get in our chats about, like, how do I know if I'm ready to work as an artist in the industry? How do you deal with the challenges of burnout or imposter syndrome or whatever it is? A lot of people want to know about this kind of stuff. So we started up this series as a way of, not bringing in people to say this is the be all end all answer, but really to learn from their journeys. And I couldn't be more excited to have Iain McCaig and Karla Ortiz with us today. To talk about these things. They were a couple of the first names that came to mind when I knew that we were doing this, and I thought, what a better thing to do than to have both of them together in the same live stream. So before I introduce them, I'd just like to mention that we have closed captioning available on our Facebook page. We are on Facebook Live. You can go to search Gnomon there, and this same stream is running, but you have closed captioning if you're in need of that. Additionally, I want to mention that we have some awesome announcements to make. Our spring term is starting up next week, and in-person individual classes are available. There are still slots available. If you are looking to pick up an individual class at Gnomon, and the majority of them are on evenings, a lot are on weekends. Maybe you are a current student in another school, but you want to get a taste of starting to work in the kind of disciplines that Gnomon trains, you are welcome to go to our website and register for a class there. And then calling all high school students, the Gnomon High School Summer Camp, our digital art summer camp, is finally back after a 2-year hiatus during quarantine. We're very excited to have this open and available. If you would like to apply to join our summer camp as a high school student, it's going to be available for anyone who is about to enter high school this fall, who will be 14 at the time that the summer camp starts, all the way up to if you are just now graduating from high school, you're still eligible to attend in your first summer after high school. So we'd love to have you on our campus joining us for camp. I'll be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. And my colleague, Melissa, is dropping some links in the chat for anybody interested. So housekeeping out of the way, I want to talk about what I'm the most excited to talk about today, and I'd like to introduce our first guest, Iain McCaig, who is an artist, writer, and filmmaker who's divided his energies between a lifelong love of storytelling and a passionate belief that everyone in the world can learn to draw. That's awesome. That's perfect for today's stream. McCaig has worked for over 41 years in the entertainment industry. Many of his creations have become pop culture icons, for example, like his Star Wars designs for Queen Amidala, as well as Darth Maul. He has created art for games from LucasArts, The Secret of Monkey Island, to Respawn's Titanfall, and for many films, including Terminator 2, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers Infinity War, and Endgame, and the Avengers film, Disney's live-action The Jungle Book, and the ongoing Star Wars movies, as well as designs for the upcoming Star Wars The High Republic graphic novels and Star Wars Galaxy Edge. Awesome. And I care a little bit about Star Wars, obviously, so that's amazingly cool. And Iain, in his spare time, writes, produces, and directs and wanders the land, encouraging people to draw and tell stories. And in 2008, Palace Press published Shadowline, The Art of Iain McCaig, a combination of 28 years of McCaig's commercial and private work with a mini course in how to draw, and a fictionalized expose of his creative process, which there is a reprint that's available on Amazon. I ordered it to get my hands on it, and it's amazing, so definitely check it out. And the final thing to say about Iain that's wonderful is that in 2008, Spectrum Fantastic Art gave him their Grand Master Award, and in September 2021, the Concept Art Association honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. So with that, I'd like to welcome Iain to the stream. Hi, Iain. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
So wonderful to have you back.
Adam,
I'm so excited to be talking today. Yeah, absolutely. It's been like, oh gosh, almost a couple of years now.
That's right. Your first live stream, I remember.
Yeah, my very first one with Gnomon, and I was very nervous, but fortunately it went well because you were so fun to talk to.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's funny, the thing about getting nervous.
Absolutely.
It's only when you're focused on the wrong stuff. You and I are just having a conversation. Correct. We're letting some people listen in. That's all this is. It's not any big deal. We could be in a 100%. Coffee shop right now.
Exactly. Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's bring Karla in. Karla Ortiz is a Puerto Rican, internationally recognized, award-winning artist. With her exceptional design sense, realistic renders, and character-driven narratives, Karla has contributed to many big-budget projects, including Jurassic World, World of Warcraft, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Marvel's Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity Wars, Loki, Eternals, and most notably her design of Doctor Strange for Marvel's Doctor Strange. Karla's work is also recognized in the fine art world, showcasing her figurative and mysterious art in notable galleries such as Spoke Art and Hashimoto Contemporary in San Francisco, Nucleus Gallery, ThinkSpace, Maxwell Alexander Gallery in LA, and Gallery Allerdic in Paris. She currently lives in San Francisco with her cat, Beatty. So with that, Karla, come on onto the screen. Welcome.
Hello.
Great to have you here. Yeah.
What
and
up?
I think we actually might get a view of Beatty in the background. Beatty might be coming in and out. And
it's so rambunctious today. She, before we got into this, she was just like, yeah. But of course, I live in the city, so instead, here's an ambulance. Woo!
Yeah, I might have some awesome things happening in the background too. You never know. Ranging from lawnmowers to helicopters. That's what's great about living in the city.
Yeah.
So I want to mention right off the top, guys, before I forget, obviously we already have like hundreds of people tuning into the stream. We want to bring your questions to Karla and to Iain. I'll say right away, we probably won't be able to get to every single question. That's just the nature of live streaming. But we are utilizing a third-party service called Slido. So my colleague is going to drop a link to that in the chat. And what that is going to let you type in your question. But you also get to see everybody else's question. And if you see somebody ask a question, you're like, ooh, me too. I really want an answer to that question as well. You can like it. Yeah. What are you guys doing over here?
We're just really excited about Slido.
Slido.
I'm like doing a commercial for Slido. But basically,
it's
awesome. It's like a community crowdsourcing for questions. So it allows us to get to the questions that the most people are excited about first.
Yes, but why Slido?
I have no idea. I didn't start the company.
Free jar of Vaseline with
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just like everybody just
like
sliding through the questions.
Goopy like Slido.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah, right. We're they probably weren't thinking of us visual thinkers when they came up with the name.
Right.
They didn't have a evil-minded person who's like
no, they're all like, high five, good name.
We did it. Slido. Yeah.
And yet the memorable things are just right on the other side of really stupid. They are because we reacted to it, we'll remember it. So
100%. That's right.
Not so dumb.
And probably like a couple hundred people will as well. Remember Slido today.
Live free Slido.
So I don't have a particular agenda. It's more of a conversation than an interview today. But I mean, we've already talked about, what this conversation is about. And I think, and just so you guys know in the chat as well, that's kind of what we're centering on. I know that, you guys have done countless other interviews where you get to talk about your projects and the art of this, the art of that. But I really wanted a chance to hear from you as artists and as people, right? And we just had our first live stream of this nature with some fantastic artists, Della Longfish and Raf Grassetti. And, the idea is, I know for myself, and I think a lot of aspiring artists, and I know that this is the last thing that you'd want people to think about you, but they look at artists such as yourselves and think, oh, these are like immortals who, are so successful with their art and they don't deal with any of the challenges and problems that I do. And I don't even know if I am ever going to be able to make it just to the beginning of their journey. And we would love to talk with you, not for you to give the be all end all answer to these things, but really for us to be able to see, like, you guys are humans too, and you're artists. And there are certain signposts that are very common in the journey for artists. So just to throw a little question out there to kind of get the conversation going, I wanted to ask you guys, this question comes up a lot. Let's talk about the idea of talent. And what role do you feel that talent really plays in being successul at making a career in what you love?
Karla, what do you think?
If I were to give it a percentage, like if I were to break it up in a pie, I would say talent's like 1%, 2%,
Mm.
3% tops. The rest is just knowledge and work and joy. Like I put joy, I put
Joy is big.
love.
That's the fruit in the middle of the
big
pie.
chunky, it's
Yeah.
delicious. And then you have like practice and knowledge and work. Because I've seen so many people throughout the years where you're like, this person's very talented, and they believed it. They're like, I am very talented. And then you see them through the years, but they don't progress at the same speed at those who are just like, oh, I just need to work on it. And I need to, and I love this to pieces, and I just want to figure this out. So I've never really put much thought into talent. To be honest with you,
I love that answer, and I love that we went straight to food analogies. That's
I'm
perfect.
hungry.
Be more of these. It's just before lunch. Come on, dude.
I know you guys talked about we should do this in like a coffee shop. Like coffee.
What she said. Oh, sorry. What she said. Yeah. Except that I guess very specifically for me, talent is the equivalent of being born tall. And if you decide to become a basketball player, that might be an advantage. It doesn't teach you how to play basketball, and it doesn't win the game for you, even when you know how to play basketball.
Yeah.
It just gives you a little extra reach and whatever being tall does. So it's the same with talent. I think I broke it down once. There's about 7 things that make up talent, 7 skills that you can be born with that just automatically make you more inclined to make the right decisions as an artist. But you can learn those. So if you missed 1 or all 7, you pick them up and learn them. And then you got talent. You learn talent. Again, it doesn't make you an artist, but it gives you a head start. Head starts are fine. Absolutely fine. But
have either of the two of you, and not that you have to, but have either of you earlier in your journeys ever struggled with that idea of like, maybe I'm not talented enough, or they're so much more talented than me? Have either of you dealt with that?
Iain, you are endless. Just so you go first, because I'm the
irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether I'm not as talented as somebody else or other people are better at all. It's more, no, I have to do this.
That's right.
I have to, because it's just not doing it is unthinkable.
Yeah.
Right. And so no matter what anybody else is, I've got to go and do this for myself. And I start with wherever I am, whatever I know.
Yep.
And yeah, there are big gaps in my knowledge. And I always said I was too busy doing the thing I wanted to learn to do it. So
that's great.
Oh, I didn't have a chance to go to film school. I went to art school.
Yeah.
And they didn't teach me to paint. They gave a lot of life drawing, a lot of drawing lessons, a lot of abstract design lessons. But I had to learn to paint on the job, and your paycheck depends on it. But it didn't matter, because it was more that I needed to learn to paint the things I wanted to paint.
Yes.
Right. The paycheck was the bonus.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Karla?
All right. So you are just like a beautiful, wonderful, just like, yes, you've always been wise. I'm like over here, just like put the drama music on, like really bad, like put some like 2000s butt rock, just like because
soundtrack.
When I was much younger, I actually did have a period where I quit art completely because I felt like I had gone to a convention and I saw artists and I saw what they what it actually was. And in my mind, I thought, oh my goodness, like there's a secret to it. What is it? And little did I know it was like just joy and really loving it and not letting these things, get in your way, because you're more curious and you're more in love with the process and finding out than you are with anything that can get you down. But I didn't know that back then. All I could see was just how far away everything was. And it felt like this cool club of wizards. And I just came in. I'm like, I have no magic. What's up? And so I did. I quit art. And I say this story a lot. just because it was really impactful for me. But like, so my dad's a musician, and you know, I fessed up one day. I was like, it's been 2 months where I've painted. I haven't done anything. I was thinking, should I be a scientist? Should I be an actress or something like that? That would have been really dumb, by the way. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, I was like, I'm going to fess up. And so I told my dad about it, and he's like, oh, Karla. He just laughs. I'm like, why are you laughing? That's so cruel. And he's just like, you're not an artist unless you want to quit at least once. And we had a really wonderful conversation about how this, you know, those fears, a thing that is part of the human experience. Sometimes we do get scared of things, but we can't let that, you know, pause us from being artists, because like so much of the process is just like loving the process. And the way that I kind of been describing it to certain students is, imagine you have like a jigsaw puzzle all over the place, and someone gets like irrationally crazy angry that they can't find the piece. They're just like, I cannot find this piece. I'm horrible. I'm not worthy. I'm a bad human being. You'd be like, oh, calm down. Well, in some ways it's similar. Art is a visual puzzle to be solved. So that's kind of how, you know, through a period of just complete, like, no, I can't do this, I kind of recalibrated my brain to focus on other things. And strangely enough, focusing on those other things, like thinking about how to paint, thinking about what I need to learn, finding the joy in learning it. That's the thing that gave me the excitement, the energy, the resilience to be able to do this.
I like the puzzle piece analogy, because
you
you wake up and somebody took some of the pieces.
Yeah.
Then you gotta invent them.
Oh, that's true.
Ooh,
At least 3 pieces before breakfast, right? And
I love it.
You know, you can spend the time feeling really anxious and worried about it, or you can get busy making the puzzle pieces. It doesn't matter. You got to make them anyway. And I'm hungry, so I'd rather have
so hungry.
I love that, Iain, because I think being a creative, you know, the great thing about being an artist is by nature, what you do is generative, right?
Yes.
So if something doesn't exist, you get to make it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a brilliant life hack too, right? Like that goes for life too. Like creativity is like the force.
And you get used to that feeling, right? The downward swoosh of the roller coaster. And you really do realize after many decades that feeling is you on the journey, not you or you unable to man up or woman up to what it has to be, right?
And we really do need to spend like 10 hours in a coffee shop talking about this.
Yeah. But also the funny part about it is it's not only a part of life, but it's a part of every painting. Yeah. Every single painting I have has a moment where I'm like, I don't know about this. And it's it's when you get to the point of I don't know about this, that you're just like, oh, well, what do I need to make it look awesome? And it's just a process. And
and I guarantee if you do know what to do, you shouldn't be doing it. Because it's going to get
100% agree.
Just pulling it from the bag of tricks.
Yep.
That's not where creativity lies. It lies in the dark zone just beyond what you know.
The shadow line, if you will.
Cross the shadow line and pull the thing in.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, look at that. That's some good.
Available in bookstores near you.
And all bookstores near you. Just a click away, ladies and gentlemen. Just a click away. But the funny part, really quick, but the funny part about it is that also applies to improving as an artist. I often tell people, they're like, oh, what do I need to do? And I ask them, what are you most afraid of in art? Is it perspective? Is it anatomy? Is it environments? Is it lighting? Because the thing that we're most hesitant about is usually the thing that will improve our work. So like even in a technical aspect, you can apply that.
Yeah.
I like the way you say that, Karla's like, yeah, is it this? Is it this? Does that work?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know the answer to that question? Yeah.
But it's true. You should count your lucky stars for having fears, because they do show you where you need to go next. It does show you what you need to learn to move forward. Yeah.
If you want to slay the dragon, you have to learn how to wield a sword or whatever it is you're going to be using.
I wouldn't slay a dragon if my life depended on it. Love those creatures.
Absolutely.
What if it's a really mean dragon? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
What if it's maybe what I feel like Iain would probably just find a way to befriend the dragon and help the dragon turn to good. you know.
Oh, no. Just find out what he's all about. What is it you're so like pissed off about?
Yeah.
Well, I help you get that because you really want to learn to draw, don't you?
I just imagine like a little knight coming in, getting ready. Yeah. And it's just like, what the hell? Because it's Iain chatting and the dragon's crying. It's like, hey, you're right. I didn't know this. And you're like.
So therapist to mythical creatures. Right? Mythical creatures that are real.
That should go on my list. It's just
artist,
writer, filmmaker, therapist, mythical creatures. Done.
I think that works. Yeah.
I need a bigger card.
I love what you said about every painting, like this process that kind of mirrors life. I 100% agree. I think every time you take on a creative project or painting or whatever it is, it's like a little mini hero's journey.
Yeah.
That has all these peaks and valleys, you know? So we're getting like a gazillion questions pouring in. I should get them in a second. I want to.
It's so easy to just like blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could be selfish and just talk to you the whole time myself.
Oh damn, betrayal.
For them.
Evil.
No, I won't betray our guests. Anyway, the last question that I want to touch on before we jump into the chat questions this is another one that I think we get a lot, because I think, you know, sometimes you go through a process of self-discovery that things really come online later in life. Like I pivoted really hard into concept art from a love of doing creative things, but I pivoted really hard into it at age 40. And I thought I was having a midlife crisis, and I had all these questions about how old is too old, and, you know, is this not going to work for me? We get that question a lot, and we do have people that are pivoting their careers come to Gnomon to learn to train, but they're really scared because they're like, everybody else is ahead of me, and I'm in my 30s or whatever it is. What are your thoughts on the stage in life that you start pursuing this? Iain.
Boris Karloff. You may have heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very famous horror actor. Actually, I'm not sure. You know, it's fun going out on the streets and suddenly grabbing a young person and going, Boris Karloff, and seeing if they react. But, you know, you could say Frankenstein monster, and it's the Boris Karloff I'm going to remember, right? Yeah. From 1931. So he was 44 when he played the monster. Mm-hmm. That was the beginning of his long career as a famous horror film actor. He'd done 80 films and bit parts. He also dug ditches and worked on the railways up here in BC and all kinds of things before that. But nobody really remembers that part of his life or celebrates it. It's what he started doing at 44. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Okay.
Well, Karla. And everything he brought to the table is because of the life he lived up to 44, right?
Absolutely.
Everything he brought into that role.
And the risk he took, because here he's struggling to become an actor. Obviously, the actors aspire to the roles that push them forward. So you don't have to be the leading man, but you definitely have to have some screen time. Mm-hmm. And here they want to cover his face completely in this monster makeup. No one is ever even going to see him.
Good
right?
point.
So do you take that job? Are you crazy? Isn't this gonna and you're playing a monster. Goodbye, heroes. Goodbye, leading sympathetic characters. And yet it wasn't, was it?
The way that I see it is like on a more like practical level. Let's say we are all very lucky and get to live 100 years, right? 100 straight years. What is like the acceptable age for people to feel good about doing the things that they love in society? Like, what is it like between your 20s, between your 30s? That's like 20%, 30% of your life. Like you have so much more, like your entire life to live. And we have this obsession with just condensing our entire life experiences into such a small percentage of our overall lifespan. And it seems like such a waste, because it would what is it like? I remember hearing a TED Talk a long time ago that they estimate that it takes about 10 to 15 years or so to gain mastery at something. And if you live 100 years, that's 10 things you can be masterful to. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, probably like 9, because you'll be like from like starting age 10, you know, you do have to be a child, but
and you should have a new one, right? That you just started. It should never just be, I did my 10 things, I'm done. Thank you.
And then this is like a point of frustration to me, because how much like mastery, how many wonderful things have we not gotten, because we're so focused on condensing our life into just small little percentage of time that we're actually alive, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, exactly as Iain said, like, it's just, you know, Boris Karloff started his journey at like 40.
44.
I know 44. I know artists like Alan Williams didn't get to really get going until he was 50. And and when he was 50, he then suddenly started working with Guillermo del Toro. His work was all over the place, celebrated everywhere. And so many more countless stories of people who started in their 60s and their 70s. And it's just 80s. It just, no.
But
yeah,
maybe
if you're out there and you're thinking that, Google search people who started their careers later in life. There is a long list of
there's a long.
people.
I see some of them in the chat right now, actually. But
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that question is actually asking, am I too old to get a career in the industry?
That's
right. And that's actually tied up more with that question, am I good enough? Because there's more. Like, am I good enough to get in the industry?
Right.
It's not usually, am I good enough to become an artist and draw the pictures I want to draw? It's, can I get a job? Will I get paid? Will I have a career? Will I become famous at that career? And again, irrelevant. All of those are side effects of drawing, telling stories, doing this amazing thing that we can do with pictures and words and things on screen where we create lies that tell truth. It's amazing. It's amazing we can do that. But that defines our lives, right? We create those lives for ourselves when we're kids. Who am I going to be when I grow up? What are my friends going to be like? Oh, what could be a superhero? And then that changes as you go or not. And then you spend the rest of your life trying to make the story you created come true.
Yes.
So those lies define us. They give us the thing to remember when we're lost in the storms later on, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
I think
awesome.
the doing is the reward. That's your Academy Award.
Yes.
You know, don't get bamboozled by criticism or praise, right? Whether it's your own inner critic or someone else's, it's irrelevant. You do your best. You do what you can so you can do the next one. And that's always the answer. What's your favorite one? What's the best? What's the next one?
Yeah, if I can't take joy in something I've made until I get a bunch of likes on social media, that's kind of backwards. You know, that can feel great for a little while, but can be really destructive in the long run.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Really quick too. This is from my own personal experience. Like, I think, you know, there are certain industries in our society that are definitely very like squeezy when it comes to age. Like, there's this like mentality like, oh, you gotta be. The art industries is not that. And from my experience, it's like one of those things where it's like at the end of the day, it's all just about your ideas, your portfolio, and the energy that you bring to it. Is it a good energy? Like, and that's the thing that I think will open doors to people. But yeah.
Honesty too, right?
Yes.
Right. Really being willing to share who you are, because it's really art and stories are just, it's a language. You got to do something with it.
Yeah.
So what you do is you offer who you are and how you see the world and your feelings and thoughts and memories and all the stuff that's you. It's unique, right? There will never be another you. And that's really scary sometimes. So really a big part of doing what we do is courage.
Yeah.
Right. And what overcomes the fear that, you know, the opposite of courage, I guess, is fear. What overcomes that is that you just have to do it. Not doing it is worse. Remember last time we talked, that's what I said. If you want to find out if you're good enough, stop.
The thing that's so exciting. Oh, sorry.
No, it's true. And when the pain of not doing it outweighs the pain of doing it, go do it. Because that means you're good enough.
But I love that so much, what you just said, because it's one of my favorite things about art is that there will never be a specific person. So every art that you see, every painting that you see is like a little snapshot in time from the perspective of that very unique human being. And that to me, I love that so much.
And what you just said, you keep changing. And as a result, there is no I am now able to do this. It's like I'm able to do this because this is who I am today.
Yes.
What will I do tomorrow? What will I do in 40 years' time?
Question for you, Iain. You know how there's this thing where it's like biologically we apparently shed our cells and kind of our
7
body
years.
renews every 7 years. Do you feel like that's the same with art? Do you feel like every 7 years your art's different?
Sometimes every 7 minutes. When I was a kid, I used to, like, if I had a really good day, I would hate to go to sleep at night in case I woke up as a different person in the morning.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like there's moments where you rise up above the clouds and you can see to the horizon and you have all the answers. And then you start to sink and it's like, no! And then you're back down where it's murky and you have no idea what you're doing or where you're going. And you just hold on to those moments where you saw to the horizon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And here's beautiful creative serendipity. Turns out the question you guys just addressed was our most popular question from the group. It's a viewer saying, I feel like at 29, I've started too late at being serious with my art goals and that I'm too slow at making art. With practice and determination, can I make it? And I think you guys just added a whole lot more hope to that than just the practice and determination. What is it that's compelling you to make art? I'd say as somebody that got started later in life, also the thing that I had to come to realize was I had a bunch of superpowers that I had developed in those first 40 years of my life
For sure.
that were unique to me.
Yeah.
You talk about bringing yourself and telling the story.
There's another phenomenon. I forget which famous painter said it, Turner, somebody, that when you're starting to paint and you have no idea what you're doing is easy. It's when you know how to do it that it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a joy when you're young and foolish and you just jump in.
Just do it.
You don't know any better. And you actually think it's pretty good sometimes. You haven't learned to be embarrassed by the things that are bad in it yet. I've lived long enough and the internet has given me this amazing gift of holding up a mirror to the first part of my career. And I die every time I see some of those drawings because they are so wrong and so bad. And I remember obsessing about something in that image that doesn't matter.
Right.
But I guess it doesn't matter to me now. It did at the time. And also the culture.
Yes.
Too, right? It was a lot more naive. Watching that Gnomon reel, that's the student reel?
Yes. Yeah,
Holy,
that was cool.
That's
No
not, and disclaimer,
way.
that's not what our students know how to do before they start the school.
No,
Sometimes
that's
you go watch that and go, I shouldn't even apply. And I'm like, no, don't worry about that.
This is
but
what
yeah, that's
you
all student work.
become.
Yes.
Yeah, just amazing. So that didn't exist when I was a kid. They were
Right.
just like the dinosaurs back then. I actually knew the names of all the dinosaurs. Today, I can't even learn the ones that they found last month. So there is so much good art. There's so many generations of people, especially young people, who can draw and paint beautifully, mostly paint. But now I have to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Right? How cool is that ability is with people who are, I guess, of a generation where they weren't able to profoundly explain who they were or what they wanted and so on. Right? And I want to see. So I'm sorry, 100's not enough. 128. That's when I go.
Yes, thank you.
That gives me enough time to see what these generations do to transform our lives. With, 120.
But it's you're talking like so many things that just like spark so many different connections in my brain. It's exciting because it's like, for example, that happens to me a lot when like the moment that I finish a painting, I'm just like, if I see it the next day, I'm like, I could have done this, I could have done that. And it seems like a way bigger deal. In like a year or two, I look back at it and I'm like, oh no, it's way better than I thought. Why was I so hard on myself? And that's, I think, just also in general in life. Like I look at myself when I was in my early 20s and I'm just like, oh, I should have been so hard on myself. I was doing fine. Like, and I think that's also another thing that happens, when we get the wonderful view of being a little older, but we don't get that luxury when we're living in the moment that we're living, regardless of the time. So my my dad in particular, he's all like, oh, I don't know if I could do this or something like that. I'm always telling him, he's in his 60s, and I'm always telling him, do you think that you'll be angry at yourself when you're 70 for saying that about you in your 60s? He's like, most likely. And it's just, and that's something that I keep on thinking about. I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. I always think, like, when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when I'm 100, will I look back at when I'm like in my 30s and get really angry at myself for not making the most of that when I had so much?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's true no matter what age you're at until you go to the next place, wherever we all go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's a trick to help you with that. There's two minds you can be in, right? You can be the character in the story that you're living, and you're feeling it great, you know, magnificently, because you are you're the hero of this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly the emotions will buffet you around. You give a great performance and you won't be able to enjoy it because you're the character.
Right.
So it's useful sometimes to step out of the role that you're playing and be the author. And you don't get to write the events. You do get to write the reactions and the thoughts of the character. To stop for a moment from back here and say, okay, what do I want him to think and feel now? And what's the next chapter that he won't know is coming? And you don't write the events, you write the inner life of what's going on in that character. And then dive back in. But try and make some of that stuff happen. It's really fun.
That's so good. You are a therapist, Iain. That's amazing.
Comes from wandering the
this
land.
way.
Yeah, wandering the land. All right, so there's so much that I could nerd out on what you guys just said, but I will bite my tongue and go to the next question. So let's see. Okay, next question is, how do you both see graduating art students breaking into the various entertainment industries in the year 2022 and onward? Is there anything that you feel is unique to this time in history moving forward?
So
yes. Sorry, Karla. Please.
No, you just
okay. Yes. Unique to now is the tools. You have a movie studio on your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
This is ridiculous. And more than that, you have an audience as big or bigger than any movie studio has ever had. You have exactly the same audience that any media mogul conglomerate empire has, and it's free, or free for the cost of a server and a computer. And so I think what's special about now is you are the industry. There are existing places for you to go, but if you, for example, want to write and direct and concept design your own films, go do it. Go do it and take a job.
Nothing's stopping you. Yeah.
No, really, go take a job to finance it, but go do it, because there is truly nothing stopping you.
Mm-hmm.
And when has that ever happened? I guess maybe that was the trick before, and we didn't realize how easy it was. You just start doing what you want to do. You stop finding reasons to not do it and just do it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's the doing it that makes you better. So don't struggle so hard to get into the industry. Be the industry. And yes, see if you can get a job paying you to do it while you're there. But if not, go get a job that doesn't take so much creative time that you have time to make your movies or time to make your book. All right, sorry.
No, no, you said it perfectly. Like,
right.
it's just one of those things. Yeah, it's definitely like there's one thing to be said where it's like there's a lot of different entry points now, and and it's a lot more visible and global in a way that wasn't 30, 20, even 10 years ago. Well, no, 10 years ago we definitely had that for sure. Just not as so much social media as we have now, I would say. But yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better myself. Iain's got it.
No, I like that you're putting it into proper words. That's great.
No, Iain, but oh, that's so lame though, because you're just like over here, the poetry, the beauty, and I'm just like, okay, so numbers wise, so we
need that too.
I need a cigar, I need a lab coat, and I'm like, all right,
some big horn rimmed glasses. And, you need to
By
talk
the way,
to us
she
like
is
this.
not like this on stage. You should know that. Right?
What?
She's crazy. I get taken aside and could you tell Karla, just like she's scaring everybody out there? Can you
You know what it is? You know what it is? I've been having horrible insomnia lately. So I'm sleeping
What?
deprived right now. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. My brain is just like, listen, we're going to do a little change. In the daytime, you're going to be very tired. But at nighttime, creativity. Boo!
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like,
So
I'm
what do you
just
do?
like, hi. I
What-
just
what do
lay
you
in bed.
No, wrong. Get
I
up.
know.
If you lay in bed for more than 15 minutes, get up. Go do something.
Yeah. You see, my boyfriend wakes up for anything, so then he'll be
Oh,
mad.
wow.
I know, and so I have to just be like, so I'm a little sleep deprived. Maybe that's why.
Oh, no,
and
I'm
I
sorry to
haven't
hear
had
that.
coffee, which is why we
Oh,
should have had
fool
coffee.
of a
This is a
toque.
coffee.
Oh,
We
why
just need
did you
to do
say
You-
coffee?
This is you without coffee.
Yes.
Wow.
So don't worry, Ian. I'm still horribly frighteningly. I'm
Ian, have you had coffee today?
energetic, but
Yes, but it's Karla's fault.
Okay.
I didn't drink coffee in my life all the way up until a trip to New Zealand a while back.
Mm.
And Paul Tobin introduced me to the joys of a really well-made coffee. And I realized not all coffee is equal unless it's New Zealand. And they're
It is
everywhere the
not.
coffee.
Yeah.
oh, so it's Paul's
No,
fault, not mine.
But then that was it. And I came back and I tried a coffee here and it was so awful. I knew I would never drink coffee again. And then I get this email from Karla Ortiz, who is this young spark in a class that Brahm and I were giving. And he sent me this beautiful artwork and said, do you want a really good cup of coffee? Come to San Francisco.
Mm.
I will introduce you to fill in the blank because
Cool.
now I am so a coffee snob, so addicted to coffee because of you.
Nothing wrong with being a
Evil
coffee
lady.
snob. Nothing
funny
wrong
thing-
with that.
yeah,
It depends
but
how much you drink.
it's
True.
true. It's true.
Okay,
That is
so
so
the next
funny, though.
question will most likely take up the rest of our day because this is a big
Oh.
question.
All
That's a
Not
big
like
question.
the hour, which we have frighteningly so
Yeah.
little left.
We got
Uh,
about 10, 15 minutes left. So this might be and guys, all I can tell you is go back and rewatch the stream and listen between the lines. There are a lot of answers that have been given to some of the questions I'm seeing come
There
in.
you go.
And then any of the more practically oriented questions and even some burnout stuff. I've heard live streams from both of you where you address a lot of that stuff beautifully.
thank you.
So, there's a wealth of knowledge out there on the interwebs. You can go find it. But this is a great question, and it's our third most popular. How do you guys keep your imagination alive?
Well, I live.
It's life. You have a good
It's-
life. You have
Your
good life.
imagination keeps you alive.
Yeah. Well, no, it's part. It's a function of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagination is fed by your experiences in life, and I mean that's what your dreams are too, right? That's the
Mhm.
DNA of what you lived that day and that week, and what's worrying you or what's pleasing you and exciting you, and so I just try to make sure that every day counts,
Mm.
and every day is that journey across the shadow line into something that I don't know, and really, if I ever feel like, oh, can't be bothered, not today, I'm old today, I'm tired, go away, it's like, do push-ups now,
Mm.
down. And I just make myself do push-ups until it hurts so bad, I'm begging, yes, I'll do it, whatever it was, I'll do
my
it.
gosh.
Stop, please.
Ian,
Plus,
actually,
you get these great chest muscles.
yeah, it's
There you go.
do one of those like Ian. Ian, you actually were one of the best answers to that question. You said to me a long ass time ago, you were like, Karla, yeah, like Karla. Suddenly you're Batman. What?
Oh, no.
You were like, that's true. I'm the Batman. You're the
You're the
Superman.
Batman.
I'm sorry.
Beat
You
Superman.
were like rich. You were like rich lives lead to rich imaginations, and it's
Mm.
just true.
True.
And it's
Yeah.
just true. Whenever I feel burnt out or feel like there's, I'm not getting ideas or anything like that, I realize that like it's just that I'm so not doing other things that fulfill me and give me energy. Like sometimes being with family, being with friends, playing video games, reading books, taking a walk. Even the simple act of taking a walk for me just like fills my head with so many ideas. And I think it's more of just like, I think the answer is just to lead just a balanced life.
And if you want to supercharge that, go do
a push-up.
Really no, better than push-ups. Go do something really great for somebody else, and don't tell anyone about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Do it for the sake of doing it, and your day will transform. I guarantee it.
See, I want to ask you what kind of things, but you won't tell anybody about it.
Nope. Talk about it because you don't do it for the praise. Do it for the act of helping. Connect to other people. Remember, they have superstar lives too.
That was a very Gandalfian answer. I like that. That was a Gandalf moment.
If only I could grow. Believe it or not, I shave, but no one can notice. This could be 3 weeks growth. It's not fair.
All right.
I'm so jealous, Adam.
Fake ones, they exist, Ian.
Fake ones.
It took a long time, Ian. It took a long time. It took so long that by the time it grew in, it was gray.
It's okay, Ian. I can't grow a beard either. Even though I think it would be lovely.
I feel better now, Karla. Thank you.
I could just like
you could just
So for our last few minutes together, and obviously, guys, there's a gazillion questions that we're not going to be able to get to, but seriously, there are some tremendous answers out there coming from each of these artists if you just search for them and some of the other interviews that they've done. I would like to use our last few minutes to kind of do something that we talked about in our very first conversation we ever had, Ian, before that first stream, which was, what's a question that you would like to address that maybe you don't get asked often enough that you would like to get asked? What's something that's important to you? You know,
there's lots of those. There's lots of those. You usually get the same questions, and it usually revolves around how do I get a job? How do I get your job? And how do I know that I have what it takes to get that job? Right. So it's job oriented. And the first thing is, what's my job? You know, I like to ask people that. What is it that I do? And they usually say concept artist. Like, well, that's one of many things that I do. And all really boils down to storytelling. And storytelling is unlimited. I could do it. I could stand on the street corner and tell a story right now and be just as happy as concept designing. So they want that job, really? So, you know, there's a lot of ways to get around that. But what do I wish I was asked? I guess something that's fun.
Well, then
how do you wake up? What do you do? What gets you out of bed in the morning? There's
go.
Yeah. I found that in the mornings it seemed unfair as you get old, right? And you know, bits drop off. It's fantastic. It's like this demolition derby, and no wheel today. Okay, but there should be some pluses too, right? So what I do is I count to my age before I get up. And as I get older, I get to lie there longer. It's great. But the problem is that after age 40, I start falling asleep again. So to stay awake, what I do is I count that many things. And so in other words, I'm 65 now. So I would count 65 great friends and people that I've known.
Oh, wow.
65 great drawings, mine or anyone's. 65 magnificent moments I never want to forget. 65 of the best kisses I've ever had. You know, just whatever it is. And then trust me, you shoot out of bed and you bound up the stairs, and you know, whoever's up there is kind of making their coffee, and you're like, hey!
That explains a lot, Ian. That explains so much.
Oh man, this question is
it's really fun. I mean, it's just counting your blessings, I guess.
It's beautiful.
Your blessings get more the older you get.
It's a very creative act too.
Yep, it is indeed, and good for your memory as you get older.
Yes.
Karla, what do you wish people to ask you?
I think people would talk to me more about the love of art. You know, like I feel like I'd love to just be like, how can I continually maintain my love for it? Or or what good practices can we do to just keep in love. The other thing I'd also like is how to build push-ups. Yeah, how to build community more, because I feel like we tend to think of being an artist as this very solitary thing, and sometimes it is. But one of the things about growth and one of the things about doing this journey is that you also get a lot of comrades and peers along the way. And those comrades and peers, even though what we do is can be very solitary, they give you so much energy, so much wisdom, so much love. You create community. And that becomes kind of like also an extra barrier for all those things that you can tell yourself, or all those scary things in the world, when you have a companion there that's like, you're like, are you feeling the same thing? They're like, yeah, totally. Oh, I felt it like 20 days ago. This is how I did it. Like, oh, okay. Or even sharing the joy of the artwork for each other, because that's part of falling in love with it. So things like that, I think I would love more of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just like talking about video games, because we could talk about that all day long.
Sweet.
Like,
what is it? Wait, I gotta know, what is it about video games? Because you really love it. I mean, I actually watched you play them, and I don't play video games, and I don't watch people playing video games, but I watched you because it was you were having such a good time. What the hell? What am I missing when I look at the screen?
So I think the thing that I love about it is, one, the storytelling. Because the games that I play are RPGs or JRPGs, so they tend to be very story driven. I love the interactivity of things. Like, for example, there are games that you can be a farmer, and you just go around and manage your farm, but also you get to interact with villagers. You get to give them presents on their birthdays. You get to be really, really sweet, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's the same kind of thrill that you get from reading many different books, that allows you to put yourself in the position of someone else. The only thing is that it's an extra thing where you can be in control. That's it. There you go.
Got it. The story where you can actually pilot one of the characters through the story.
So I'm in for the story. Some people, they generally do it as stress relief. Like, they will play a game where it's like, and you're like, oh, it's shooting, it's awful, but they're just like, at the end of it, like, I'm super chill, I feel so relaxed, you know.
Yeah.
Let it all out.
Yeah, no, I'm all for games.
Sometimes it's strategy. Like, you're just like, I just played one where it's like, sorry, you got me started on games, that's on you. There's one that I've been playing.
Another hour, folks.
Yeah, there's another one that I'm playing called Triangle Strategy, which is interesting because you get different stories, and your party members get to vote on how you progress through the story. But it's also a strategy element to it, where it's like terrain matters, and what your units do matter, and it's almost like chess, but like kind of expanded. Boo, it's cool.
No, but what you're saying there is that, I mean, that's a lot of stuff you're learning.
Oh yeah.
Right? You're learning about the story, learning about the characters, you're learning how to coordinate and do this kind of thing, and none of it was hard for you. Right? So I think that's the trick to learning how to draw, and learning any of these skills. You turn it into a game. Turn it into a game.
Boom, boom, boom.
And then it doesn't matter whether that's what I'm saying. It's irrelevant whether it's hard or not. It's fun, and that's back to the joy, right? Yeah.
Damn, Iain. Damn.
Wow.
Damn. Boom.
Can you just became the host?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We all accidentally entered a different plane.
This was so good. It was just the beginning.
It is,
and I mean, I'm not impatient. I just want to be respectful of your guys' time, because if this were in a coffee shop and we were having coffee, it would probably go for another 3 hours.
Easily.
So goals: 100 years from now, we need to do this exact same live stream again.
Yes.
When we're all like, well over 100, because we'll be living longer by then anyway.
No. Stories have to have endings.
Yeah, in 100 years.
No. The thing is, it makes the choice It makes your choices matter, but in 100 years,
Ian,
I'll be dead for about 40 years.
No, I can't think about
Ian,
that.
calm
Yeah,
down.
I'm 65. I'm only going to
No.
live to 128.
It's too
That's the end
soon.
of the book.
Okay.
It's
No.
only 128 pages long.
Ian, it has
Okay.
to be 150 minimum.
No.
Okay, so what? Maybe 30, 40 years from now.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Okay.
No.
And then we'll wait
No,
until
you
Karla's
backed out.
200.
I don't like it. No. Yes, I will be over here 200 angry.
Yeah.
I will be like, when I meet you in the next plane, I'll be like, man, you missed out on all these years.
One of the things I'm looking forward to is having that really amazing tombstone with some sort of fantastic sculpture of an amazing person, some sort of muse, shadowline muse, laughing. That's what I want on top of the stone.
Whoa.
And a little plaque that says, I'll be right back.
See,
I never
just
get
want
that
them
if I stick around too long. See?
I want them to
Wow.
stuff me in a cannon and just throw me to the sea. That's it.
Yeah? Wow. We'll do that beside my stone so I can watch. Yeah.
We'll make an event out of it. We'll make an
Excellent.
event out of it. Okay. Guys, this was so far beyond imagination of what I thought this conversation could be. This was just beautiful. And I know that a lot of people have gotten a lot out of this and will continue. This is going to live on the eternal web.
Hey.
And, then, 50 years from now, you can go back and watch it and go, oh, did I say that? No, it's beautiful.
No, we'll be like,
So-
yes, I said that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be a
thank
ghost.
you.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. I think if the fates ever align, a cup of coffee is definitely in order.
You heard it here, folks.
when the cameras aren't rolling, but
That's
Coffee
as good
party.
as a contract. Yeah.
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 I'll hold you to that.
So I hope that the two of you have a wonderfully challenging and creative and gratitude-filled day ahead.
Oh, and you.
And thank you for not just talking about what you do, but who you are.
Oh, bless you. What a
Thank
great
you.
host.
Thank you so much for having us. This is awesome.
All right,
right.
folks, go do great things. Have
All right.
fun.
Thank you, guys.
Bye,
I'm going to be
everybody.
sticking around, everybody. For anybody that wants to hear about Gnomon and how Gnomon is going about partnering with you in your journey and helping you. So let's give our thanks and farewell to Iain and Karla, and then I'll be with you for another 15 minutes
Bye,
to
folks.
talk about those things. Thank you, guys.
Bye, friends.
All right.
Woo.
Okay, I'm going to get my screen share up here. There we go. All right, so I am still processing everything we just heard. That was amazing. And, I was thinking about the part where Iain was talking about, we're living in an unprecedented age, where so much more is at our fingertips. And that really is what Gnomon is about. Gnomon is about seeing every opportunity that comes through VFX, through what's happening in the industry, through the evolution of the tools, because the tools are just tools. All of it is still art. All of it is still built on the things that will always be true about art. But the tools open up wonderful new creative possibilities. And so that's what we're about. I like to say that we're like the Hogwarts of VFX, and it really feels that way. So I'm going to give you a really brief talk about Gnomon and how we're preparing artists for that industry. So I'll just go by this quickly. We've been around for, we're in our 25th year right now, and we've won a lot of great awards over the years. Not to sit back on our laurels, but really just to say, I like to look at this and say that this means not only are we good about what we do, but we care about what we do. What makes Gnomon different, essentially? Why pick Gnomon? And I like to use the word different than better, because we're not about saying, well, we're the best, but we do feel that we're unique. And there's some really important aspects that go into that. So, for example, Gnomon is, as art schools go, a very, very focused school. We're not a liberal arts college. We don't teach all of the arts. We teach a very specific niche of art, and that is digital production. That's literally making the 3D worlds and characters and props and all the stuff that you saw in the student reel at the beginning. So we're like, if you took that one little slice of a typical art university and you blew that up into being an entire college and leveraged all of that school's resources to just teaching that one thing. The second thing here is, Gnomon is created by industry artists for industry artists. We were founded by Alex Alvarez, who himself is an industry artist. He was at the time working for Alias Wavefront, who were the creators of Maya, which is the industry standard 3D software today. And he started up Gnomon as just one lab, as a place where industry artists could come and learn these skills, because it was still so new at that time, but in high demand. And then because of that demand, we blew up into being a full-blown college. So we are still staffed by industry artists. Every instructor at Gnomon is a working industry artist coming from their day job in studio to teach classes. Whether that's our full-time program or individual classes on an evening, they're coming in from what they do on a daily basis and giving you their most current self, their most current process. And that helps us to stay on top of the ever-changing industry and what we teach our students. And then the third thing I would say that makes Gnomon special is we place an incredibly high emphasis on careers for our graduates. That is the reason why we exist. Our founder Alex is been, you can quote him from other interviews saying, like, the whole point in having a full-time program to learn these things is to start a career. And so at Gnomon, we don't want to just teach you technical skills and then say, now go figure out how to turn that into a career. We want to give you what you need to be hireable upon graduation. So just breaking that down really quickly, you'll see these percentiles, and this is the percentage of a year of students graduating from our full-time programs. This is the percentage of students that found their first job in studio doing what they trained to do, specifically at Gnomon. So doing why they went to school, they're doing that job within 6 months of finishing our program. And this is very important to us. It's what drives everything that we do and why we teach the way that we teach. And important to note that even in 2020, when everybody kind of went, oh no, and there's the pandemic and our job's going to be available, we still placed 94% of our graduates within 6 months. And it's important to know because, countless professionals have said that during everything that's been going on in the world lately, content creation is not slowing down, it's ramping up. More stories are being told. More artists are needed to help communicate those stories. So that should be good news. And it should make you aware that it's less about, how do I cleverly break into a thing, and more like, how should I be preparing for this? So next up, these are just some examples of projects that our alumni have worked on. These are just a sampling of some of our instructors and the types of projects that they have worked on themselves, which is pretty cool. And the next thing, this is just a recap of essentially everything that I've just said. We're going to blow past that. So what is it that we teach? What is digital production? In a simple, term, digital production is essentially the entire pipeline of creating 3D digital content for storytelling, whether that is in a video game or a film. It's the visual effects, it's the 3D model making, it's a lot of design. It incorporates all of the skill sets that you see right here on the screen. Oh, and I was holding down a button. Sorry, guys. Let's jump back here really quick. So all those skills that I put up on the screen a second ago, I'll just jump back to that. There we go. Digital production is a catch-all term that includes skills like computer-based visual effects, character and creature design, digital sculpting, character and creature animation, designing environments, lighting and rendering those environments, compositing images together into a scene, creating assets for games, working with game engines, production workflows, and world building. Each of those skill sets translate into these careers. So every sort of job title or position in the pipeline that you see listed here, this is a unique career path unto itself. The unique thing about Gnomon is we literally teach you how to do all of these things. Even if your goal ultimately is, for example, to be a look development artist at Disney, and just picking an example out of the list, you're still going to learn all of the other positions, all of the pipeline, because that is what studios are looking for. They want to know that they're not just getting a person who's good at the one thing that they really want to do, but they're good at that thing. They're very competent, they're very skilled, very creative, but they also understand everybody before them and everybody after them in that pipeline. That makes you an incredibly valuable junior artist as a hire in a studio. So I just want to highlight 4 of these different roles in the pipeline just to show you how different they can be from one another. So the first one is a character artist, and these guys do exactly what the name implies. They are creating characters and creatures and they're actually making the actual 3D character or creature that's going to be in CG, whether it's, you know, in a game or in a film, but it's what the audience is going to see on the screen. And this artist is using a special kind of software called ZBrush. If you're not familiar with that, that is essentially a software that lets you use virtual digital clay and use actual traditional sculpting techniques, just like you would with real clay, to create believable and lifelike and highly detailed 3D characters and creatures. So if you're a person who loves to draw characters and creatures and taking that to the next level and actually making that into something real, something that can be interacted with, this could be a really awesome job for you. Next up are effects artists. I like to say that effects artists, if they were the member of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, they would definitely be the sorcerer or the wizard. They are literally using special software that lets them summon real world physical properties like fire or water or wind or smoke or those kind of things, and then weave it all together into something magical and amazing. So the director might have a vision of, we need some massive, you know, craft to come splashing out of the ocean, you know, and it's got this great vision in their head of what it needs to look like, but somebody's actually going to make that. Somebody has to make that for the film, and that is not something that they can put in front of the camera in the real world because it doesn't exist. So instead, they use, you know, these simulations that drive physics to create really complex scenes like this. And it's super cool. After that, I want to go to the very end of the pipeline. What does a compositor do? Well, here you can see a green screen in the images here, and they're essentially using green screens and other things to composite together different things that have been created along the way in the pipeline to create a believable, cohesive scene. So here you see the background and the tennis court. Those are 3D models. The tennis players are actors that were filmed in front of green screens. The foreground buildings and props are also 3D models. They're then textured and painted, and lighting is put on them. Additional actors are inserted. Sort of a final lighting pass is done, and then a virtual camera sort of like, you know, kind of cranes through the scene, and you wind up with something like this. This is what is known as an establishing shot for film or for commercial or television. And it gives a way for the director to show the location that the story is taking place 100% and truest to their vision. Perhaps that's a place that doesn't exist in the real world, that they can't go to and film. And even if it were, this is far easier and less expensive than to get permits and travel and hire actors and film crews to go to that location and get, and just in one day or whatever, get just the right shot. Now the director has complete creative control over the scene that's being made. And that's what compositors do. They put all of that together. Now we're going to go all the way to the beginning of the pipeline for film. And that incorporates what pre-visualization artists do. Pre-vis artists, I like to say, are kind of like directors trapped in an animator's body. These are storytellers, right? And even though they're using simpler looking models and animation, they're doing that to afford them the time to be able to get a larger idea across. So pre-vis artists actually make a moving storyboard of the film and in its completion before things go into filming. So these are artists that are, you know, working with animation, working with simpler models, and very quickly iterating what each of these scenes of the story are going to look like. They get to work very closely with the director and the cinematographer, and have, you know, in making these scenes, have full control over like what kind of camera is being used, what kind of lens, how is the camera going to pan, and how's all the animation going to happen. And so they get something that allows everybody else in that very complex pipeline to be working off of the same vision rolling forward for the film. So if you are a big picture thinker, if you like telling stories and you're interested in working with 3D animation, this could be a really awesome career to develop. All right. So with just some of those examples in mind, and really how there's just this very wide range of possibilities for different kinds of artists with different interests to go into these fields, I want to talk to you very briefly about how Gnomon is training artists for these types of careers. So here's just a bird's eye perspective of all of our academic offerings. So of course we have a fully accredited 4-year degree that is a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in digital production. We also have something just adjacent to that called a certificate program, and that's actually more advanced than our degree program. And it's the level intensity of study is a little bit more akin to a post-grad, like a master's level type degree. And that's because we're really taking that readiness and putting it within a 2-year span of time, and you're jumping right into learning that digital production. So it's kind of like Navy SEALs training for the field. This is typically utilized by people who already have a degree or looking to pivot into a new career later in life. And then the BFA program is utilized by people who want all of this training and industry readiness, but also want to come out of that with a college degree. In addition, we have something called a Foundation in Art and Design, which is a 1-year course. You do not have to send in a portfolio. There's no application you have to do, but it's a 1-year course that enables you to develop a portfolio, learning from Gnomon instructors. And then lastly, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream as well, we have fantastic individual classes at Gnomon. Some of them are even offered online. So we are opening up the new term next week, and there's still an opportunity to register for an individual course. You do not have to send in a portfolio. You do not have to apply. You can actually just simply go onto the website, browse the courses available, whether you want to take one in person on our campus or take one online, and sign up. And you can start with us next week. So just looking a little bit closer at the Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. This is, again, it's fully accredited, it's full-time, and it's on the Gnomon campus. Because of accreditation, that means financial aid is going to be available for people looking to apply to this program. And it has 2 optional concentrations. And this really allows the BFA to tune itself specifically towards either game art or VFX, or you don't pick a concentration, you just continue to learn that generalist foundational skill set in the pipeline. But the game art concentration is going to take all of those pipeline disciplines you're learning and tune it specifically towards how it would need to be done in a game studio, working within game engines. And the VFX concentration is going to double down on more VFX classes and even open up some of the more advanced visual effects classes that were previously only available in the 2-year program, and bring that into the 4-year program for you. So as I said, you learn the whole pipeline, as you can see here, and that gives you this amazing foundation to start to build extra skill on top of. So you can either pick a concentration, but everybody also gets a chance to pick out 4 electives in their last 4 terms in the program, which then lets them say, okay, I've learned how to do all these steps, but I really want to be an animator. So I'm going to take extra animation classes, or I want to take extra VFX classes or character art classes. It's there for you to build what you want to build on top of that. We have a rolling admission for our programs at Gnomon, which means it's not just about applying in the fall. You can apply in the winter, the spring, or the summer. And most of our students choose not to take summer breaks, which actually allows them to take a 4th term each year, which helps them finish a full 4 years of education in only 3 years, so they can get out there and start their careers that much sooner. As I mentioned about the, let's see, where is it? Okay, yeah. Foundation in Art Design. This is something that is designed to help you build a portfolio. You do not have to apply to it. It does not require a portfolio to enter this course. It lasts for up to a year. You do not have to stay in it for an entire year, but you can take the classes that you're going to need. And our Gnomon advisors can help you know what are some of the skills that you might need to learn in the foundation to round out your portfolio. So those are going to be starting with things like visual communication, essential drawing skills. You'll start getting into figure drawing, costumed figure drawing, how to draw in perspective. You'll start learning about some great design classes like character and creature design, vehicle and mech design, even designing environments. So this is a great opportunity for someone who wants to apply to the program at Gnomon, but may not be ready yet. They might not have a portfolio put together that is going to help them get into the program. And so this is something that's available to you to help you do that. We even sometimes have students that utilize our Foundation in Art Design who don't have goals in digital production, have other artistic goals, but because this is a great foundational course, they go through it before continuing on a different career path. So yeah, you can inquire with our advisors about that. So moving forward, let's see here. There we go. Excellent. So the thing I want to close with before we go today is to talk about the Gnomon admissions process. And this is one of the things that is the most commonly misunderstood about how to apply to Gnomon, is because we do things incredibly different than other schools. The standard admissions process for most schools is the advisor, as you can see Xander here at the table, and this is our great admissions team. Let's move forward, is the advisor or the admissions person is the person you wait to talk to until you know that you're ready, and you wait to talk to them, because as soon as you talk to them is when you're going to be evaluated as to whether or not you can get into their program. At Gnomon, it's completely different. The advisors are the first people you should speak with, and that is because what they want to do is to coach you coming into the application process. Sorry guys, I'm just going to move past some of this here. There we go. So our advisors will essentially give you art. If you would like to talk to a Gnomon advisor, if you're curious about the programs, and you're considering applying to Gnomon and you want to know, well, what does Gnomon want in my portfolio? Can you tell me what I need to make my portfolio successful in applying to your program? We will literally coach you one-on-one in answering those questions, and we will base the answers to those questions on your strengths and on areas that you might still need to build some skill. So our advisors will share resources with you and point you towards things that you can study online to help you develop those skills and execute some needed portfolio pieces to round out what you have. And while you're doing that, you can stay in touch with them and continually check in to get advice and feedback on your artwork. So it's almost like having an art director help you get into Gnomon. And it's totally available to you. And I'm kind of leaning into this point because a lot of times people just don't realize that's available to them, because it's just assumed that it happens at Gnomon just like it happens at any other school. But I can't say it with enough emphasis. Our advisors are the front line. If you have interest in Gnomon, they are ready to help you. And so if you'd like to get in touch with a Gnomon advisor, my colleague can drop a link to just a simple informational portal you can fill out online. We are not going to sell your information. We're not going to use it to call you at dinner time for the rest of your life. We are just going to reach out a couple of times via email. And if you respond to our advisors, that will begin that conversation where you'll get to show them, whatever artwork you've been doing. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start showing them. They will start to coach you. They'll be there to answer your questions. And that conversation can eventually lead to a face-to-face appointment via Zoom or whatnot. You can even schedule tours of our campus with our advisors. So definitely utilize that link to fill out that card. And do keep your eyes on your spam folder and your email just in case their initial email gets routed there. So definitely utilize that. The Gnomon campus is, of course, since fall of last year, is open and having courses on campus. We do different kinds of industry talks, obviously, like today's stream. We also have some fantastic live streams that we run weekly, whether that's Creature Corner with Jared Kraszewski, learning all about sculpting and designing creatures for film, or that is Archetype with our Chief Creative Officer, Josh Herman, where he's been taking a deep dive into different character archetypes and sculpting them and designing them and really just showing you his process that he uses to make imaginative characters. And we also have A Voice in the Hollow, which is an amazing live stream where Miguel Ortega and Tran Ma have been taking us through their process of creating a short animation in Unreal Engine. And they are kind of pulling back the curtain on their creative process and how they do visual development and then turn that into something real and animated and so forth. So if you're curious about Unreal and you're curious about that process, that's also a weekly stream. Head over to our YouTube channel or to our Twitch channel, or really just to our website, and you can find out what our schedules are for those streams. Again, we just want to provide a lot of great content that is going to help you grow in your journey as an artist. Whether you apply to Gnomon or not, we want your contact with Gnomon and with our school to be something that adds value to you. And we want to make sure that we are available to you to help you know that, yes, this is possible, and training for these things is possible to do. And just like Iain and Karla said, talent is probably just 1% of the equation. The rest is passionately building the skills and using those skills to create things that you love. And that is what an education at Gnomon is about. So guys, I want to thank you for today. I do want to reiterate that individual classes are open and available to register online for, whether you want to take an online class in an evening or a weekend at Gnomon, or you want to come on our campus in person and be taking an individual class. They just go during the course of 10 weeks. And that is with our Gnomon instructors who are industry professionals themselves. It's a great opportunity to get training at a time that might be more convenient than traditional school hours. So I want to invite you to do that. Additionally, there are links going into the chat for our high school digital art summer camp. If you are just finishing high school or about to go into high school, and you'll be 14 at the time that camp starts, you are welcome to apply to the Gnomon High School Summer Camp, which is, we have 2 of them back to back. Each one is a week long, and you get to take some really amazing digital production courses, whether you want to learn about designing characters, or you want to learn about digital sculpture or clay sculpture or modeling and texturing or animation or VFX. It's your chance to get into the Gnomon labs with Gnomon instructors and get a taste of what it's like to be at our school and build some really awesome skills along the way. So everyone, I just want to say thank you. And I especially want to give a thank you to Iain McCaig and Karla Ortiz for sharing their time and dropping some just awesome encouragement and wisdom in the stream today. And we hope to see you back here on the live streams again in the future. So I'm Adam saying be safe and be creative, and we'll see you again soon.